Hello, we are Seismic Cinema. So get those feet up, grab the popcorn, and what was the next bit, Paul? Escape reality with us for the next probably an hour because this is a ranking and they take a bit longer.
Yep. Flick. Good second time doing that.
Yeah, I only slipped up a wee bit again, so I'm getting better. Next time I'll nail it. So
Yeah.
I'm Colin, aka JD. I'm joined by Paul, aka Dwight. I keep forgetting to mention to anyone listening to this in audio only, we set random screen names on StreamYard each time we do a podcast, so people wouldn't obviously see that. So it's probably worth just explaining.
Yeah. I'm guessing Scrubs is going to be on your list somewhere.
Well, that would be telling, wouldn't it? So
Yeah.
I couldn't. So there's been a bit of a roller coaster of emotions tonight. So we've debated back and forward whether to actually record this podcast tonight on Thursday, the 14th of April. Sorry to break the fourth wall. But we went for it in the end. So I don't know what was more of a roller coaster, the Rangers European quarter final, or deciding to when to schedule this podcast.
Well, mine was definitely a podcast because I'm not a Rangers fan.
Yeah. But I would just like to say well done to Rangers for qualifying for the semi-finals. And we'll leave it at that.
And sponsors, Rangers. Come on.
No, I don't think we're quite at that level yet. Anyway, so enough of the babble at the start. This is our weekly ranking podcast, and this was my choice, and it's one I've been really looking forward to do for ages. I feel like I'm saying that quite a lot when it comes to the rankings, but I just like ranking things. So it's our top 10 TV shows. Do you not think it feels a bit weird saying TV shows nowadays, since basically everything's on streaming services and things are very rarely on ordinary television?
Yeah, never really thought about it, but yeah, yeah,
I think,
you're right.
I think it's just a catch-all term, more of just a
Well,
show rather than a TV show in it.
well, that's good because if you'd narrowed it down to top 10 TV shows that weren't streaming shows, then I'd probably be stuck.
Okay, so we're going to do usual 10 down to 1 with plenty of honourable mentions, although Paul's got them on his phone and can't access them, so there's that.
They're in here somewhere. I'll try and remember them.
Right, Paul, you're up first then. So you're number 10. What have you went for?
Right, so my number 10 is a recent addition that I've just managed to get caught up and finish with. It was the Clone Wars animated series.
Nice.
Uh, when did it first come out? Was it like 10 years ago or something? More than that.
2000 and maybe like the late 2000s.
Yeah, so I watched it when it first came out. I watched I think the first half of the season, and then I fell away from it. I never went back to it. And when we started this podcast, I think you just kept badgering me to watch it and watch it and watch it. And I caught COVID, so I had 10 days to catch up on it. And I managed to just absolutely rattle through all the seasons. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It adds so much more to the Star Wars saga. Adds more characters. The characters that were kind of fringe characters all get fleshed out. And yeah, it just adds up to so much richness to the story, overall story. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and that's why it's my number 10.
So you're glad that I badgered you into it.
I am, yes. It's one of the few things that you're right about.
This is a good opportunity to really remind you, you do need to watch Rebels before Obi-Wan, please. Yeah, it'll be so worth it.
We should play like podcast bingo where you can just strike off when you mention Rebels in an episode.
Oh, Paul, I did the same thing to you about Clone Wars, and look how that ended up.
I try.
Okay. Right, so that was your number 10, and I thought you might mention it actually, but I wasn't 100% sure. Right, so my number 10 is a show. I watched one episode of it years ago, and I quite enjoyed it, introduced by a friend, and then didn't watch it for years, and then thought, right, oh yeah, I remember watching that. I'll give it another go, and then I just get absolutely hooked by it. It has some absolutely amazing episodes. Its most recent season is a wee bit less high quality, so to speak. But overall, it's got some great television. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Number 10 is Black Mirror.
I have not seen it. It's one of these things that I always see advertised and I always see it on Netflix, but I always kind of bypass it.
Yeah, honestly, definitely worth it. It's so how to explain it is it's set in like a kind of near future and you know the phrase dystopian future,
Yeah,
and it's all about how technology, like the impact technology has on our lives, and every story is like self-contained, and it's got like a particular piece of futuristic technology, and it shows how it impacts on people's lives. But it's pretty brutal at times. It's really interesting. It's really quite trippy. I think it's something you would probably quite enjoy, if I'm honest.
yeah, you know me and my struggles with technology, so yeah, I've got right
It's,
up my alley.
it is really good. The most recent season only had 3 episodes. I think the ones before that had maybe 6 or 7. The most recent one's not as good, but see, like the first 3 or 4 seasons, like they're really, really good. There's not that many episodes either. It's quite short, but it's one I would definitely recommend checking out.
Does it not get quite a lot of good cameos and stuff from like high profile actors and things?
Yeah, like the guy, is it Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out?
Yeah,
He's in one of the episodes. Bryce Dallas Howard, the Mandalorian Boba Fett director, she's in an episode as well. So there are quite big names in there.
yeah, yeah. It's probably something I should check out. It's on the list behind Rebels.
Oh, it is honestly, it's great. So what's your number 9?
My number 9 is I went for The Punisher.
That's the Marvel Netflix, or originally Marvel Netflix.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the one with John Bernthal in it. This was another one. I watched Daredevil and I really liked Daredevil. Uh, and the Punisher had like wee cameos in it.
Hmm.
And then he got his main series, and I think I watched the first episode, and I wasn't completely sold on it, and I left it on the back burner for ages, and then I can't remember what happened, but I went back to it, and yeah, it just ramped it up so much. There's so much action in it. The characters are really interesting. Because in Daredevil, the Punisher's a bit of a kind of a brute of a guy that just wrecks through everything.
I watched the
But
first season of Daredevil, and I did enjoy it. I just haven't got around to watching season 2 yet.
yeah, it is quite a slog to get through all of them. There's quite a lot of episodes, but they're well worth it. Like, I've seen all of Jessica Jones. I've not watched Luke Cage. I watched half of Iron Fist, but I didn't really enjoy it that much. And The Punisher is probably out of all of them is my favourite. So I put that as my number 9 just because yeah, I like all the action. I think John Bernthal plays it really well. It's a great story, and the fight scenes are absolutely brutal. So yeah, my number 9, The Punisher.
I'll maybe check that out one day. I did like the fight scenes in Daredevil. For
Yeah,
me, it was spoiler for Daredevil, but when Kingpin gets kind of locked away, and I was like, is he maybe not going to be in the second season? I don't know. It kind of put me off because he was my favorite part of the show.
uh, I won't spoil it for you, but it gets good after that.
I've got this weird thing where I'll watch a show, quite like it, and then just not go back to it. I don't know why. Just
Time.
time. Yeah, time. Definitely time. So time for me to move on to my number 9. That was a nice segue. My number 9 is a show that came out in the last couple of years. The third season has just recently aired. It simultaneously has you a greeting mess and laughing your laughing yourself silly. And then my number 9 is the Ricky Gervais show Afterlife.
Oh, that's another thing I've not watched actually. I know you've talked about it quite a lot, and you had it as one of your seismic suggestions, and it is quite critically acclaimed, isn't it?
Yeah, I was. It was a weird one. Ricky Gervais years ago directed an episode of The Simpsons, or wrote an episode of The Simpsons, and it was highly publicized, and I just didn't like it. And then I remember going off him because he didn't write a good Simpsons episode. And then I watched the UK Office, and I wasn't a big fan of his character in that. So I kind of wasn't a big fan of Ricky Gervais. And then I watched that show, and now I absolutely love him. And I've watched some of Extras as well, which is quite good.
Oh,
Afterlife is basically a story about the man, or Ricky Gervais's character, whose wife dies of cancer. So it's not a very pleasant story, but it's all about him. His kind of he's just given up in life. He's quite suicidal, but then he ultimately finds his meaning in life, and he starts kind of helping other people. And I won't go any further than that, but it's quite dark humor, but it's absolutely hilarious, and it's got great characters, and it really does get you in the feels. You kind of have to watch it to really get what I'm talking about, if that makes sense.
yeah, because I'm probably the same as you. Like, I remember that. Is it the Simpsons? Is like the wife swap episode or something?
Honestly can't remember what it was about. I just remember it being really publicized on television at the time and just not being very
Yeah,
good.
'cause I remember that, and I remember like what you were saying about the Office USA. Like, I've seen a few bits and pieces of it, and I wasn't really over enamored with it. So
But
that's
see if
probably why
you
I haven't checked out most of the stuff.
yeah, but see if you watch Afterlife, I reckon you'll love it. Like I think it's fantastic.
Okay, something to look out for again.
You're quite surprised with my first two choices. Were they ones you saw coming?
Uh,
Maybe Afterlife
I,
because I
I,
haven't.
yeah, I thought Afterlife. And my brain's actually that bad. I can't remember what the number 10 was.
It was Black Mirror.
So it was. Yes, that's right.
My my choices get more lighthearted as we go down. By the way,
Yeah, it kind of started off as a what is it, a dystopian future and a tearjerker. So it can only get brighter.
two really good shows though, and very critically acclaimed. We should have highlighted at the start, and we'll highlight at the end. These are our favorite shows. We're not saying these are the top 10 best shows of all time, but these are just shows that we personally really like.
Okay.
Well, you knew that anyway. That was more to the audience, Paul.
Well, to be fair, like my top 10 are the best 10 of all time. So I don't know.
Fair enough. Right, number 8.
My number 8 is a show called Animal Kingdom. Uh,
I'm not familiar with that.
so it's basically there's a family. It's a mother, and she's got 4 kids, and the 4 kids basically do all these big heists, all these over elaborate heists, and they're just into all this illegal stuff. They got like a nice big house, big pool, got all these cars and stuff, but they're always on the wrong side of the law, and it's mostly from the perspective of her grandson. Uh, he goes to live with them after her mum died. After his mum dies, he goes to live with his family and kind of gets embroiled in all their activities and starts helping them. And yeah, it's really good. Um,
I've never heard of it, I don't think.
yeah, it's an American show. Scott Speedman's in it. Uh, try to think, can't remember the names of them all are, but it's quite a good cast. The action's really like most of all the action. The action's really good. The humor's quite good. The heists are really good when they get to it, but there's lots of like betrayals and backstabbings and subplots going on.
Is it a long show? Is it got many episodes?
I can't remember how many episodes there are. I've only actually seen up to season. I'm halfway through season 4. I think there might be 5 seasons. Um,
So you've got it as number 8 and you've not even watched it all yet?
it's that good.
Okay. Maybe stick it on the growing list.
Yeah, I think it's on Prime, so I think the first 3 seasons are on Prime, and then I think we lost season 4. I don't know where it went, and that's why we kind of stopped because we couldn't get it on anything else.
There's nothing worse than having to jump through different channels, different streaming services to find a show. I've done that myself with
Yeah.
one on this list. Right, number 8. This is a show I know that you're a fan of because we have discussed it before. I think the last couple of seasons aren't as strong as its first 4. We're still waiting on that movie. My number 8 is a show that it was introduced to me by Andrew Strachan, friend of the channel, and it really got me through the first lockdown. I watched it every lunchtime during lockdown number 1 when I was working from home. My number 8 is Community.
Oh yes, yes. Very good choice as well. That's on my honourable mention.
A few people had mentioned it to me, and I was like, right, I tried the first episode. I was like, yeah, this is okay. I liked that Jeff was a former lawyer because it gave me that kind of Suits vibe. And I didn't get right into it right away, but I think when it got like maybe 10 episodes in, I just got absolutely hooked. And I started watching it every single lunchtime. I just remember it quite fondly now and listen to the theme tune. And during quite a dark time in the world when we're all stuck in the house by ourselves, well, I was anyway. Just that Community theme song, you'll know it, really kind of cheered me up. Just the characters, particularly Abed and Troy, they were my 2 favourites. I've actually got a mug with Troy and Abed in the morning, and I just loved how
Morning.
copyright. I just loved how wacky it was. Like the paintball episodes were amazing. They were like their equivalent of like the Simpsons Halloween special and like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine Halloween heists. And I don't know, I just loved it. I just loved the way, like, basically it was so meta. Like Abed would literally just talk about the show like they were on a show, and it was you've watched it, so you know what I'm talking about. I've just very fond memories of the show. It really did get me through that first lockdown. It really made lunchtime that's something to look forward to.
That is great. The humour in it is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I was like in the first episode, like I thought it was actually like a serious show. I didn't realise it was like a comedy. Like there was a few bits where I was like, oh yeah, and then it just goes like totally off the rails. It's just like there's so many weird episodes, like the puppets and all that, and there's like video game ones. And,
the one where they're made of clay and stuff.
yeah, like what's it called? Stop animation.
I could quite happily just sit down and rewatch all the paintballing episodes. It's just, I think it's a great show, and hopefully they do get that movie one day. 6 seasons in a movie.
And was it a Darkest Timeline?
Yeah. Can I actually forgot about a show I forgot about it even in my honourable mentions, and this is where this can get a bit crazy. I forgot Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Not even just in my top 10. I forgot it in honourable mentions, so I'd like to throw Brooklyn Nine-Nine in there as an honourable mention.
Right, okay. That's fine. You can do that.
Can't believe I forgot it. That actually might have made my top 10 if I'd remembered. Oh well, that's part of the fun of doing this, isn't it? Right, number 7.
My number 7 is Mindhunters.
Nice. I think I watched the first season of that, and then I maybe watched the first 2 seasons of that, but didn't watch the third one.
It'll be kind of hard because there isn't a third one.
I watched the first one and didn't watch the second one then.
Yeah, because they've done the first 2 seasons and it left it on a cliffhanger, and they just spinned it. They're not making a third season. And
not back at all.
No, the director says he doesn't have time, and he doesn't feel like he can. He just doesn't have the kind of motivation to do it, so he's not going to do it.
It's a bit disappointing.
I think we need to start a campaign to get Mindhunters back because it's so good. Like just them interviewing all the killers and stuff.
I predicted you'd like a show where they're interviewing mass murderers.
Yeah, you know. They also have to catch people as well. So it's all the hunt as well.
Yeah. I did
But
remember quite enjoying it.
yeah, I just think the interviews are really good. Like the characters play it so well. I like the chemistry between the two main agents.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's always this kind of looming background kind of serial killer chase as well whilst they're interviewing, going around the country interviewing the serial killers that are locked up.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fascinating to watch, and like, I don't know how much is like factually correct or if any of it's factually correct, but
Yeah.
it'd be really cool just to be back in those days and kind of going through that. So yeah, I went for Mindhunters.
I kind of wish I had invested more time in it. Right, my
Yeah,
number seven.
the second season is good.
Yeah, maybe one day we keep saying. So my number seven might be construed as controversial, but I think for the first, at least the first 5 seasons, it was considered one of the best TV shows ever. Obviously, it's particularly its last season is kind of damaged its reputation, but I don't think we can deny that Game of Thrones in its first 5 seasons was peak television. Discuss.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Um, I was actually quite late to starting Game of Thrones.
So was I.
I think I missed the entire first season, and my mum and dad started watching the second season, and that's when I started watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And like it would be the highlight of your week was
Mm-hmm.
when that next episode was coming out,
Yeah.
and like, and because like you knew no one was safe, it was just such a roller coaster ride, and you'd like, pick a character, and you're just hoping they would survive this week, not knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah. It was. I was even later than you. I binged the first 4 seasons on DVD, and then I watched 5, 6, 7, and 8 as they came out. And it was a case, as you said, getting up at like 5 in the morning before work to watch it before going to work, so you didn't get it spoiled for you. That was kind of how I did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, so I got so many spoilers. Um,
Spoilers for Game of Thrones before we move on.
yeah, spoiler for Game of Thrones. Like, see Facebook, be the devil.
Mm.
Unless you want to sponsor us, then they're great. Um, but yeah, like see Joffrey dying. Like I was usually night shift too, so I was a night shift and I would get home in the morning and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna watch Game of Thrones, and then I would just like flip my phone open and literally the first thing that popped up was a meme of Joffrey dying.
Mm.
The next one was the Red Wedding. There's a meme of that when I just came off night shift, and then the ending, when the Night King got killed.
For me, it was Jon Snow's death. I did inverted commas there for anyone listening via audio. Yeah, that's the main one that got spoiled for me, I remember. But you're right, it was such an epic. It was just the world. It just felt so kind of lived in and expansive and just so many great characters. And there was just such an ensemble cast. Some of
Yeah,
my
because
sorry, on you go.
on you go, on you go. No, that's your point.
Some of my favourites, Tyrion, I always loved Tyrion, although they did ruin him a wee bit towards the end. Jamie Lannister was a great character in terms of his change again, but they ruined him kind of near the end. But there's just great characters like Littlefinger, even Ned Stark, Jon Snow, just loads of minor characters as well that will escape my memory right now.
Yeah, I liked was it Varys,
That is,
the the spy master.
I see just him and Littlefinger there, just wee conversations where they were just talking riddles, but it was just fascinating to watch.
Yeah,
Um, I'm quite intrigued by this House of the Dragon show, the prequel series that's coming out this year.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they just left it too long that maybe the interest isn't there anymore. I don't know. I'm not as super hyped as I probably would have been
Yeah,
uh, a couple of years ago for it. But obviously things take a lot longer these days to do. But I don't know. Maybe the hype train maybe left the station. But I don't
I
know.
think you kind of had to a wee bit because the last season was so heavily criticised that I think they kind of needed to let it cool down a wee bit before they tried again.
Yeah. What did you think of the conclusion?
It was a bit. Yeah, I don't really like that they made Daenerys like take out everyone with the dragon and Bran being the king. I think if it had been built up a bit better, it would have made more sense. But I wasn't a massive fan, but I think the first like kind of 5 seasons, particularly like the likes of the Red Wedding and the Mandalorian fighting against the Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Some
that's
of the
my.
battles,
Was that?
some of the battles as well. The battle of the bees.
Yeah, and the battle of the one when Tyrion's in charge and they're up on the castle against the.
Is it like Blackwater Bay or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. That is a great show, and I think it kind of annoys me that people have just written it off because they didn't like the ending. To me, TV shows are about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. Or you could definitely go back and just rewatch it.
Yeah. So number 6 for you.
My number 6 is The Mandalorian.
Okay.
Uh, so this was it was a wee bit of a surprise for me when it first got announced that it was getting done, and the way Disney had been going, I didn't have much high hopes for it, but I just think it's probably the kind of premium Star Wars asset at the moment, and I I just I just love it. I think Pedro Pascal plays it really. I think the character Mando is just cool as the story. Some of the episodes can be a bit filler at times,
Mm,
which is probably why it didn't feature higher on the list.
yeah.
But the episodes where the story actually is the main focus, that's when it really gets going. And like the action's great in it. There's some really emotional scenes in it. And the characters are super fascinating. Um, so yeah, I went for the Mandalorian as my number 6.
Cool. Obviously, as we all know, I'm a big Star Wars fan as well. I'm not going to reveal anything at this stage. I'll just move on to my number 6. And this is more of a legacy one. It's not more of a recent years kind of thing. It's just a show that had a massive impact on popular culture. I would say my life, my love for television. And it's just something we all reference every day and probably don't even realize it half the time. My top 10 TV show list couldn't be complete without The Simpsons.
Very good,
Obviously,
very good.
it's outstayed its welcome a bit. I think it should have retired a long time ago, but I've just got so many memories of the classic early episodes and the Halloween specials, particularly that parody of the Shining. And my all-time favorite episode. Do you remember what it is? Do
Oh, your all-time favorite episode?
you remember what it is?
No, is it Michael Jackson one?
No, it's not the Michael Jackson one. It's the Cape Fear, the Sideshow Bob one, where he tracks him on the boat.
Oh, right, okay. I've
Remember when
seen that in
the
forever.
Simpsons changed their identity? I basically love any episode with Sideshow Bob in it. And just the first, I think the golden age is the phrase that's used. I just think, you could just. It's like if I'm sitting eating my dinner, I could just chuck on a random episode from like the first 10 seasons and just have a great time. They've just got such a great roster of characters. I'm kind of sad that I've not really known what's going on nowadays, but even some of the more modern ones. Do you remember the one where, spoilers for this episode, Frank Grimes' son is trying to murder Homer and he like locks Homer in like a sauna and the whole episode, Sideshow Bob's in it actually, and it's all about trying to work out who's trying to kill Homer. Do you know
It
that one?
does kind of sound vaguely familiar. How old is this episode? This old new episode?
It's not old. It's actually newer, not like really recent, but there's just so many episodes. Like just off the top of my head, like Marge versus the Monorail, Homer or Bart versus Australia, Itchy and Scratchy
Oh,
Man,
the
uh,
boot.
the one where Bart breaks his leg and he thinks like Flanders has murdered Maud. There's the Leftorium episode, the ones where the German take over the power plant, when Bart's a daredevil, when Homer becomes obese so he can work from home. Just that's just off the top of my head. There's just so many great episodes.
Oh,
I don't think I could have went to bed tonight without mentioning the Simpsons in here.
that's all right. That was on my honourable mentions as well. On my list that I can't remember.
Yeah, just do you not agree? It's probably maybe the most culturally significant TV show of all time. Like kind of popular culture wise, in terms of just
Probably, yeah, yeah.
what been known in
That
our
was
50.
a, that was. Do you ever look back on it though and think like you like all the jokes in it, and there's so many like American kind of references that I still don't get, and I would never have got back then.
I always use I used to always use terms like vacation when I was a kid, and my mum was like, "Why you get speaking like American phrases?" And it was just I kind of grew up on The Simpsons, if I'm honest. Like that was a real
You used to
staple. That was a real
you used
staple
to,
in my childhood.
you used to have them on DVD, didn't you?
Yeah, I've got like the first, just the cupboard next to me. I've got like the first like 20 seasons on DVD or something. See if I'd known Disney Plus was going to come out, Mum and Dad would have saved a lot of money.
I know. They could have retired by now.
Yeah, well, maybe. Right, number 5 for you.
I went for The Office
I
USA.
I knew The Office was going to be on here.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. It's one of these ones you can just put on repeat
Mm,
over and over. The characters are brilliant. I never watched the UK one. I've only seen wee snippets of it.
yeah,
And when I compare it to the USA one, I just think there's no comparison whatsoever. I think the USA one's brilliant.
yeah.
Uh, I love Dwight. I love Jim. I love the pranks they pull on each other. Steve Carell is Michael. And it's amazing funny. It's just so cringy, the stuff he comes out with. And
I have watched a couple of seasons of it on your Amazon,
yeah,
and I did really enjoy it. I didn't stop watching it. I think just there you go about you that. That's
yep.
a bobblehead of Dwight for anyone who can't see that. You know what put me off it, Paul? Two things. One, just the quantity of episodes. I just felt like I was never going to be able to finish it. And I don't like watching things on Amazon, I'm not going to lie. I just
It's a bit of a pain.
don't think it's as user friendly as Netflix or Disney Plus.
Colin,
That was my
it's
cat
back on.
scratching a door.
It's back on Netflix.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. All of it.
I think so. Yeah. So I'll get back on it.
I might
Um,
get back. I might get back on it then.
but just there's like so many iconic moments in the office. There's so many wee catchphrases you can come out with. It's just a brilliant thing. The humour is just great. I can't like. I just laugh out loud so many times watching this just because Steve Carell and the things he says. Dwight and his nonsense. Um, yeah, and there's even like the relationships between the characters, like Jim and Pam and stuff like that. Where it's ever evolving throughout the episodes. Uh, yeah, so I put that as my number 5. Great stuff. Great stuff.
I'm a sucker for will they, won't they? Like when you're kind of progressing through the show, seeing whether the couple are going to get together. I always really like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
A
there's
couple
a
of episodes.
lot of that.
Sorry.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, there's a couple of episodes I remember. There was one where they played like basketball and against like the janitors or that.
No, it's the warehouse stuff.
Yeah, the warehouse staff. And there's one where he's like delivering like the diversity training.
Yeah.
I remember that one as well. So yeah, I did enjoy it. So might go back to that one day. But my number 5 in the past would have probably been in my top 3. I feel like some of it, particularly like the older episodes, I don't know, it's because they look so young. It's a wee bit dated now. I don't think the show finished as strong as it could, and I think this is quite a well criticized ending. But this is a show that for a few years of my life was like my kind of guidebook, and I lived by a lot of the quotes. We both did. We spoke about them quite a lot. One of my favorite TV characters of all time. This show is legend. Wait for it. It's How I Met Your Mother #5.
Oh, I forgot about this. This is even a memorable.
So yeah, I think the last couple of seasons aren't as strong, but a bit like the Simpsons, like the first probably 4, 5 seasons are incredible. Barney for me is one of my favorite characters of all time, and just his banter, and I find Ted hilarious as well. And I just think it was quite a unique premise how they were like telling this story of how he met his wife, and just so many in jokes like the taxi driver and the ducky tie, which I've got a ducky tie, the suit up, which led to my obsession with wearing suits. Just so funny, so many gags, and has a real kind of deep core. Like at the end of each episode, there was always a wee what I learned and like quite nice quotes to live by. One of my favourites, which we've quoted quite a few times, was "Nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m." which is always
Never does.
an always good signal to get to sleep. So I can see you're quite gutted you forgot that one, but How I Met Your Mother is definitely one of my favourites, and it's got a real rewatchability, and you could just sit and watch it for hours and just have a great time.
Nice. So for our Spotify viewers, I've just got a restless dog kind of jumping about all on me, so sorry about that.
So you're
number
4.
number 4. So this I went for Suits.
Suits made #4. I like it.
Yeah, I don't know what got me into it. I just remember.
Is it me?
I don't think no. I think I watched it before you, and then it was on TV, and then I missed a few episodes, and then I kind of fell out of it before it started streaming again.
Yeah.
But I just remember watching it. I thought it was just so cool, like the idea of Mike Cross being like a college dropout, but he's got like this memory and he can just like remember everything, and he's like a fake lawyer. I thought the premise of the show was brilliant.
They
And then they backed up.
They kind of forgot about that superpower after a while.
Did they?
They kind of wrote that aspect out. It kind of disappeared.
Oh, because you have to actually be a good lawyer.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cast is brilliant. And just the interactions with each other, the weird relationships they had with each other. Wow.
The movie references.
The movie references, the Rocky references and all that. They're doing the wee slice of sliced alone. Wee jokes and stuff. Going,
I get that joke now. I've seen it, Rocky.
And then they've got like Donna the secretary, Meghan Markle and that as well. Even the bosses, Louis Flatt is like at the beginning I thought he was just a horrible wee guy, but he's actually comedy gold.
Yeah. It's got great support, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like what's her face? Blonde hair. Katrina Bennett.
Yeah. I was gonna say things he says that time, but we're not allowed to curse on this show.
No, we're not allowed. Cool. Well, I'm quite pleasantly surprised to see Suits in your top 10 at all. But I didn't know you were as into it as maybe I was. But there you go.
Yeah, I kind of fell out of it after Mike and Rachel left. I did watch a wee bit on, but I didn't feel the same kind of. I didn't feel invested as much as I did before. But yeah, I went. I really enjoyed it. I was going to say there. Oh, my mind just totally blank there. I was going to say something, I totally forgot it. But yeah, number 4, Suits.
Do you know one of my favourite things about that is when Meghan Markle announced her engagement, Patrick J. Adams, that plays Mike, put on Twitter a picture of it and said she just said she was going to get milk. He's got a
And
great,
that's the kind of humour that's in Suits.
and he directed quite a few episodes in latter seasons.
Was that the ones where he's like in prison and stuff, or was it beyond that?
I can't remember specifics which one it was, but he did direct quite a few. Right.
Oh,
so
we have to mention the music in it too. The music in it is great.
Great to add to your Spotify playlist as well. By the way, this is for YouTube viewers. This is Buddy's debut on the channel, so he's just saying.
Hi, buddy.
Right. So number 4 for me, a show again. You've seen it, but not all of it. It's got a great soundtrack. It's got a fantastic lead. It's got great characters. It's got a really good overarching storyline. Really heartfelt. You really care about the characters, and it really, what's the phrase? Stood the landing. What's the phrase when you finish the show good? Like the show finishes off strongly. Something the landing. I don't know.
I know what you're talking about.
I finished well anyway. My number 4 is Lucifer.
It nailed the landing.
Yeah, that might be it. Anyway, my number 4 is Lucifer.
Yes, I need to watch the last couple of seasons of this, but was it me that got you into it?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but I heard it mentioned a lot because Sheila Zass from Suits, the actress that plays her, is also in this, and the guy that plays Jeff Malone is also in this. So there was quite a lot of overlapping characters. And when I was like listening to podcasts about Suits, it mentioned Lucifer quite a lot. So I was aware of it for ages.
Yeah, the main guy, is it Tom Ellis? Is that what he said his name was?
He is fantastic. Like I think he's one of the best TV actors I've ever seen. Like Lucifer's just such a great character. Tom Ellis plays piano, and he actually introduced it to the show. Lucifer, the character, didn't play piano, but Tom Ellis did, so they introduced it. Chloe Decker, he just calls her the detective, is great. Amenadiel, which is Jeff Malone's character. It's got the episode by episode cases can get a wee bit repetitive sometimes, but see the overarching story about Lucifer's fall from grace and him trying to get back in God's graces, and the music is amazing. The location's stunning. Like I love the way it's filmed. I love seeing like LA. There was I think season 2 dragged a wee bit, or no, season 3. One of the seasons dragged a wee bit, but see when the seasons got shorter and it moved to Netflix, I think it really ended really strongly. And there's a few extra new characters that are added in later in the series. So I'm a big fan of Lucifer, and I was really sad when it finished.
Yeah. It stuck the landing.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey.
So yeah, Lucifer, I would strongly recommend finishing it off one day if you get a chance.
Yeah, that's on my honourable mentions too. The only reason I didn't put it on my top 10 is because I haven't finished it yet, and it could be naff.
I like to think I'm not disgracing myself with this ranking, and I'm not going to get too much hate.
Who would give you hate?
Someone does. I don't know. Someone did. I'm scarred. Right, Paul, number 3.
Number 3, I have went for Justified.
Not heard of it.
I've mentioned it a couple of times. Timothy Olyphant is the main character.
Simon Skinner.
Who?
From Hot Ones.
No.
Oh, did you say Timothy Olyphant or Timothy Dalton?
Timothy Olyphant.
All right, yeah, I know him. Oh, Cobb Van.
Cobb Van. Yeah, so he plays a deputy US Marshal, and he's in Kentucky, I think it is. And he has to return there to try and Sorry, my dog's trying to eat a box now whilst I'm here. He's try-
Just keep going.
Sorry. um, so he needs to go back and basically clean up the streets, but there's lots of recurring characters. So there's Walter Goggins. I think he's in quite a few things. He's in The Shield and a couple of other series. He's also in Invincible. He plays the head of the Secret Service.
Yeah.
So there's lots of recurring characters. There's basically like redneck. There's like war and crime families. There's like neo Nazis, and there's all these different warring factions. And there's him caught in the middle, but he kind of skirts the law a wee bit. He's always on the edge, and he takes lethal force on quite a bit. So he's always getting investigated for like all these lethal shootings of the bad guys and stuff, because he always prefers to shoot rather than trying to talk. And he's just cool as anything. He's got so many good one-liners, and the stuff he comes out with is great. And I would recommend it. I've only seen 5 seasons or 7 seasons, and Amazon Prime has 5 seasons on it, free, and then the last 2 you need to pay for. So I've not watched the last 2 seasons.
It sounds like quite a time commitment.
Yeah.
Is Mando quite finished?
Could you hear all that? Could you? Oh, there's a big box in here. He's just tearing it apart. Right. You monologue for a bit. Spotify people, don't worry. I'm still here. YouTube people, I'm just going to disappear for a second. But you monologue. So what is your number 3?
Right, well, I'll wait till you come back. So,
sorry,
I thought,
I can hear you.
While Paul's sorting the dog out, I would just mention where you can find us. So this podcast will be available on YouTube, Spotify, Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, and all the places that you might find podcasts. Also, we're on social media as Seismic Cinema, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, which seems like filled a gap.
Good job. Right. Improvisation.
My number 3 is higher than it used to be, but see, when I looked at it and I thought about shows as a whole and the ones that stuck the landing, and to me, this show is absolutely hilarious. It's a comfort show. I can watch it again and again. I watch the full thing every Christmas. It's just absolutely hilarious. So many great characters, got a good storyline, and it's not too long. It's only 3 seasons. And it stops and it leaves you wanting more instead of just going on and on and on, like The Simpsons, for example. My number 3 is Gavin and Stacey.
That's another thing I've never watched. I don't really watch a lot of British.
You better.
I don't watch a lot of British TV.
You better get abused for this. Gavin and Stacey is brilliant. I'm a self-proclaimed James Corden fan because of Gavin and Stacey. Uncle Bryn is he's absolutely hysterical character. I don't want to ruin it too much. I'm not really going to say much more. Those who have seen Gavin and Stacey will know it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It is so heartfelt, so funny, so rewatchable. It's a real just comfort show. Like, ever having a hard time, just binge the 3 seasons of Gavin and Stacey and just have a great time. Christmas specials as well. Fantastic.
You know, I think I did watch a wee bit of a Christmas special. I think about 10 minutes of it. Who's Uncle Bryn? Is it Rob Brydon?
Rob Brydon, yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's one he was in it, and it's quite funny.
It's so good, honestly. I hope you get abused for not having seen Gavin and Stacey. That would make me happy.
Bring it on.
Right, Paul, getting into the automatic Champions League spots. What's your number 2?
I actually went for Game of Thrones.
Oh, did you? That high?
That high, yeah. Even though last season was pretty bleh, in all kind of critical sense, it was pretty bleh. Like leading up to that, I thought it was great. Like, like I said, so many good characters. Like the bad guys in particular. Like see Ramsay Snow, he was so bad. It was so good.
Yeah.
Um,
He was in Misfit, so that's where I remembered him from.
yeah, he's like a totally different guy. And Misfits, he's like a wee kind of shy, meek kind of guy,
Aye.
and then this is a psychotic, uh, psychotic murderer. So like, like I say, I was quite late to the show, but after that, like, I couldn't like when the next episode was coming, I just couldn't wait for it to come. It was like kind of highlight week, like oh, when's the next? What's going to happen?
It was a real
I
like
hope.
cultural phenomenon, like I said.
Yeah, I think actually on my phone cover, on my old Samsung, I think I had the like the what was it, the Night's Watch kind of oath thing. I think I had that.
Yeah,
Like,
actually,
on my phone cover.
I remember you having a Game of Thrones phone cover. Actually,
Yeah. So yeah, I went for number two because like it was one of these ones that I would wait for it to come out, and like 9 times out of 10 I wasn't disappointed, and then that last season I was like disappointed more and more and more. But and I'm all about like action and stuff like that as well. But I did like there was so much treachery, there was so much backstabbing.
mm.
Like you couldn't tell who was going to be on whose side by like it could change every 5 minutes,
Yeah,
and no one and like we were saying, no one was safe. I had my money on Jon Snow, and then when he died, I was just like, and then he came back.
I think he was always going to come back. He was such a popular character and actor.
Yeah, but saying that, there's quite a lot of popular characters that snuffed it.
That's true. Right, my number two. I know you've not seen. It's famous, loved by many. People bring it down because of its apparently rubbish ending. I really like the ending, and I'm going to go out there on the limb and say that people that didn't like the ending didn't understand it. That's my opinion.
Is that your hot take?
I struggled through the. I struggled to get through the first season a wee bit, not because I didn't enjoy it. I just thought it was a wee bit slow. But as soon as season two started, I was absolutely hooked. One of my, it was on my soundtrack list. Just so many great characters, so much mystery, just really kept you guessing. It was a bit like Game of Thrones. Like it was, I didn't watch it when it came out. I binged it on Amazon and Disney Plus. I'm talking about Lost, by the way. You probably got that from the initial context.
Yeah.
I'd heard of this show for years. Obviously, I knew J.J. Abrams from like Force Awakens, etc. And just when it clicked with me, it clicked. Just the way they delve into the characters' backstories via flashbacks and the mysteries on the island and all just the wee Easter eggs that kind of build up and the character relationships and the emotional moments and just such a happy place. And it was another show I watched during lockdown. Lockdown was obviously a terrible time in so many ways, but I watched all of Clone Wars finally. I watched all of Rebels. I watched all of Community. I watched Lost. When I say lockdown, I mean like the first lockdown that stretched into the second one. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because like I'm thinking about work. So I started. No, I actually started watching it in like the Christmas holidays, 2021. No,
2019.
2020. And then I finished it in April 21. And I genuinely remember because my friend Colin was down who loves Lost too, and he actually timed his trip to Dunoon for the day I was watching the final episode. So we actually watched it together. And I honestly remember just being so emotionally distraught by it ending. I felt lost for like, pun not intended, I felt lost for a number of days. The show just had such a massive, the themes of the show just had such a massive impact on me, not just through a TV show, but just in terms of like life. I know that's really deep, but um, yeah, just a really special time. And that show, I don't think I can ever really replicate the feeling of watching that for the first time. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
quite a lot to it.
Yeah.
Well, it's always good when you get something you can connect with that much that, and that it can affect you in such a way. So, like I haven't watched it. I know kind of roughly how it ends, but that was
Yeah, but
only because like
you're hearing it that out of context.
yeah,
Like if you watched it all and saw the end and understood the end, I do think a lot of people just didn't understand it, like what actually happened.
yeah, because like I hadn't seen it, but I think I'd watched one episode and it was just like I think at the end a polar bear like was on this island. I didn't really take it in as much,
It's just
and
so good.
and then I heard about the ending, but people weren't too happy with it, so I never really went. I didn't go back to it, and I wasn't really too overly fussed by it. But maybe worth a wee watch if it's
It's
something
it's
that
it's a real
can turn
invest.
it.
You have to really integrate yourself into it. But I just became so like it actually made me start doing something I still do now is watch a wee half hour of TV before work in the morning. Like I'll get up, have my breakfast, watch a show, get up early and I have to do it, and then have my shower. That's my morning routine, and I really like watching a show. It really sets me up nicely for the day. It's a nice way to start a day.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, your number one pick.
My number one pick. So it was it's a bit of a curveball. It's probably
I
not
don't know what it is.
anything you'd expect. Oh, do you?
I'm not going to say what it is, but if I'm right, I'll let you know.
No, have a guess. I don't think you know.
Is it Invincible?
It's not.
Okay, just because we mentioned it a wee while ago.
No, that's an honourable mentions as well. Um, it's the middle.
You've mentioned this recently, actually.
Yeah,
Is the middle
it's a
different from is the middle different from Malcolm in the Middle, or are they connected?
no, it's completely different.
But they connected, no,
No,
not in any sense, no. Okay,
no. The middle is I think it's just named after because they're in like Indianapolis, or Indiana, and it's like in the middle of what America kind of thing,
yeah,
in the middle of nowhere. Um, it's just like this kind of midwestern family. Actually, no, I say midwest. I don't think it's midwest at all. I just said that it's not anything to do with midwest. Um, and it's got Mike, who is the janitor from Scrubs.
hmm
What's his name?
my
Flynn.
nemesis.
Flynn, yeah. And it's got Patricia Heaton from Everybody Loves Raymond. That's the mum and dad. And then they've got 3 kids. And it's just so funny. Like I used to watch this before I went to sleep, like most nights, and just watch and repeat all the seasons. Um, and it's just so funny. There's just so many weird and wonderful episodes. It's not like it's just very wholesome. You know what I mean? It's just very like the humor's not like gross or anything. It's just good, like kind of family fun. And the relationships seem like they evolves over time as the kids kind of get older. And there's quite a lot of emotional moments too as well. Between the kids and the parents and just when things happen. But yeah, I went for that as my number one. I think if you're looking for a good laugh and like, a short episode,
Yeah,
I'd give it a watch.
yeah. I've got a few ideas now. Then, you're getting quite emotional in your old age, Paul.
It's like
hmm
I feel like I've turned the corner after watching Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like just
hmm
everything's sad hits now.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 is amazing. That's why. Right, my number one is probably quite obvious based on maybe stuff I've said already. My number one is Suits. So I know I banged on and on about Lost and the emotional connection, but I've got that with Suits as well. I just remember watching the pilot, and it's the first time ever. Obviously, I've liked TV shows in my life, but I feel like it was Suits that then got me into being like a real kind of Netflix person, watching all these different shows. But it was always trying to recapture that magic of Suits. Because just watching that first pilot, I just remember absolutely binging it. And then when the subsequent seasons came out, just looking forward to it so much. Harvey Specter is my absolute favorite character, but I obviously love Mike as well, Lewis, all the kind of gang, and it's just such a, you'll know too. It's like just such a family dynamic, and it's just the music, the way the offices look, the way they dress. How I Met Your Mother in suits is what triggered my wearing a suit obsession for a while, which I'm kind of a bit over now. But
Yeah.
just
Did we not go across the water wearing suits one time just for the crack of it?
yeah, we've done it. We've done it a few times, and just the dialogue was so sharp, and do you think the cinematography was just great? I think it just looked great.
Oh yeah, definitely. It definitely looks so like slick and cheap.
Yeah. And it just made you want that lifestyle number. And for those who are listening to this, lice this, I like this. Just Harvey's quotes. You've got me one on my wall of my flat. So if you get backed against the wall, break the thing down. I don't know if Harvey actually said that. Sometimes they just give quotes to Harvey that he didn't actually say.
He did say that.
Yeah, did he? Yeah, but so sometimes I've seen like Google Images post sometimes where it's a quote and Harvey didn't actually say it.
No.
Yeah. So it did go down in quality in later seasons once they jumped the gun, but there's a particular episode where a certain character kind of gets his comeuppance, and there's a really good song called Judgment Day. That season from start to finish is just so intense. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And there's just so many nice moments. I don't want to spoil Suits majorly here because if anyone's not seen it, I'd really like them to watch it. It's just became such a big part of my life. I've got the "You've Just Been Lit Up" mug. When I went to cool story, when I went to Toronto, I went into the foyer, like in the first few seasons where they enter into the law firm. I've actually been in there and got a picture. And fun fact, they were actually filming an episode of Suits when I was in Toronto. So I was actually next door to where they were filming an episode, which was pretty cool.
Man, it's just broke in. You've been an extra.
I walked past multiple times to see if I could see anybody, and I didn't. It was a bit of a stalker that day, but just I miss it so much. Like I know that's maybe not a weird thing to say, but I'm sure you've got shows like that as well. I just miss it, and it's sad to think it'll never be back again. But that's what
the way things are going. Everything gets rehashed, so probably about 10 years time it'll be redone.
It'll never ever be the same. But
by the way, just wait, there'll be a British Suits.
No, I'm not watching that. Also, I'm not watching How I Met Your Father. The Hilary Duff reboot. I just refuse to watch that. Right. Well, we go for a few over an hour now, so we go through a few honourable mentions. I've got quite a few. You want to go first? Just blast through a few.
Right off the top of my head, I had like things like Daredevil, Futurama, X-Files, Schitt's Creek, Stranger Things, Doctor Who.
Who?
Very good.
Sorry.
Oh God, I had like a list of like 40 things, and I can't come off this because I know if I try and mess about with it, I'll lose the feed. You go through your list, and I'll probably like I had that.
Okay, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I can't believe I forgot, and I might have sneaked it into the top 10 potentially if I'd remembered it. You, which I really, really enjoyed. Yeah, it's just really intense. It's just got a great story. I really like it.
That was just one of those. That was one of those ones where he killed like one person, and it just he kept compounding it by killing more and more people. And it's good. I've seen it all.
I actually really enjoyed season 3. I thought that was really good. Breaking Bad, I did really enjoy. I feel like when I watched it, I was just overwhelmed by people telling me it was the best show ever, and I did really enjoy it. It's just not. It's on my honorable mentions. It's just not one of my absolute personal favorites. Dark. It was a German show, all about time travel and stuff. I don't know if you've seen it. It was really good.
Yeah, I've seen it now.
Check out Dark on Netflix. The Inbetweeners was really close to getting into my top 10. Just absolute quality. The Mandalorian, I didn't actually put any Star Wars in, but Mandalorian and Clone Wars. Clone Wars has a bit too much silly filler at times to be on a top 10 list for me. The Mandalorian was quite close, but again, it does have that wee bit of filler, maybe a wee bit too much fan service at times, but it is great Star Wars content as well. WandaVision, for the first 5 episodes, I really, really liked it. I was really hooked by it. And again, it was another lockdown show, and I really enjoyed, particularly the kind of first half of WandaVision. I thought the mystery aspect was really good. A show called Dead to Me. Have you heard of it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I won't go into them all. Arrested Development, another lockdown show. I thought it was really funny. Don't know if you've seen that.
Is that one with Jason Bateman in it?
Yeah. It's quite funny.
I think I've seen me clips, but I've not seen the whole thing.
Another lockdown show. I didn't watch all of it, but watched a fair bit. I think you've watched some of it too. Modern Family.
No, I've never seen that.
The Sinner season 1. It's went downhill, but season 1 was with Jessica Biel. The actual Jessica Biel was really, really good. Sex Education, Netflix show, really good. Still Game, classic.
Oh yeah,
Lots
yeah,
of fun.
definitely.
Scrubs. I put GD. It was on the honourable mentions. I didn't want to spoil my actual top 10, but Scrubs is absolutely iconic. Turk and GD, iconic. I can't read that one to see what it says. Invincible I added late on while we were talking. I really wish I knew what that one says, but I just did a couple other ones on a different page. The Good Wife, another lawyer show. I really enjoyed it. What else? Was there a few? Prison Break, particularly season 1, was really good. And just
That's another one I've not seen.
What was that?
That's another one I've not seen. I've seen bits and pieces of the first season.
Season 1's really good. And the last one I wanted to mention, which is one you like as well, How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah. I was a bit late to the game on that one as well. I think I missed quite a lot at the beginning, and I caught it towards the end. And my girlfriend was watching it because she'd seen it all at the start. So I kind of picked up where she'd left off, and it was really, really good. But I was like another one who was just like a lot of lies kept compounding all the problems.
I like that kind of stuff. I just want to mention 2 shows from my my childhood, which I couldn't justify putting a top 10 list, but just absolute classics. Saved by the Bell and Keenan and Kel, just 2 of my absolute favourites from childhood.
And also some seismic suggestions.
Yes. Right, so there was quite a fair few there. We've prattled on for over an hour, but as always, Paul, I've really enjoyed talking. We kind of cheat. We're Seismic Cinema, but we talk about television, but they're like brother and sister, aren't they?
Yeah, same thing.
So we've already done the plugs. The next thing is really just to talk about what's coming up next.
You're going to ask me to do that?
I'll do it. It's fine. So this is coming out on Monday, and then on Thursday, we're hoping to, depending on whether Paul's seen it or not, we're hoping to do a review of The Secrets of Dumbledore, the new Fantastic Beasts film. And then the following week, we're hoping to release on the Monday our top 10 directors, and hopefully joined by Neil Boyle. So I think that's us for this podcast. It's been a long one, but I've enjoyed hearing your favourite shows. Hopefully you've enjoyed hearing mine as well. We've got quite a few in common as well, which I think is quite nice.
Yeah, yours wasn't too shabby. Like, even it was like top 10 shows, I think. I think you put like something like Keenan and Kel in just because he likes his wee bit of nostalgia.
Nah, that's where the honourable mentions is fun. You can go quite wild in the honourable mentions.
No, yeah. I wish I could remember my honourable mentions. I did have a like massive list. But yeah, I'll get back to it one day. Everybody loves Raymond.
Yeah, there's always ones that'll come to mind. So we were Seismic Cinema. We hope you enjoyed a wee bit of the power of escapism on this Monday evening. And we look forward to hearing from you again in the future. And make sure you like and subscribe, because 70% of you aren't subscribing. So get on board, make our day, and farewell.
Yeah, give us a wee clicky click.
Click, click.